Next question says, I started guided programming 2 weeks ago, and I'm not sure if it's working for me. I tested my maxes before joining and established my training max as 95% of that. Since I predicted otherwise, it would be too hard and an unfair comparison since I was in a peak condition. Despite that, I can rarely reach the predicted weight from the table provided in determining working weights. Sometimes the difference is small, but sometimes it's gigantic. And I want to stay a bit longer since 2 weeks isn't a lot of time, and maybe I was just unlucky with many bad days. But at the same time, I feel like I'm wasting time, not progressing. Would you recommend keeping on course or change something, perhaps another group? We have a lot of things going on here. So one, you're right, 2 weeks isn't a whole lot of time. So I would definitely recommend hanging in there for a while longer. Let's give it 2 more weeks before we make any concrete decisions on training groups and otherwise. Now, how I would like you to assess your progress is not necessarily in comparison to what you did at the end of your previous cycle. Let's assess your progress compared to what you just did. So, estimating your maxes from the table provided in determining working weights is a little bit problematic. The table that's provided is a table of averages. It's not going to be accurate for everyone, and some rep ranges are going to be more accurate or less accurate than others for different people. It's pretty close most of the time, but if you're not estimating RPEs just right, if you have any sort of significant differences in terms of your ability to perform reps or your ability to tolerate high intensities and so on, those introduce variabilities into the chart. The best thing to do is to come up with a custom RPE chart, but that's much later down the road. You need quite a bit of data in order to fully flesh that out. So what I would like to do in the meantime is let's compare your estimated maxes to other estimated maxes, not actual maxes. Because the actual process of testing a 1RM, it's exciting, and some people really thrive on that excitement and perform much better. Other people, it makes them nervous and they perform worse. So there's another layer of individual difference. So what I would like to do in order to remove as many of these variables as possible, let's just look at your estimated maxes. So you have your week 1 estimated maxes. Now you have your week 2 estimated maxes. Are those better or worse? In 2 weeks, it's impossible to really tell, and it's impossible to establish a trend. We hope that they're better. And for some people, they will be better. Other people, they're going to be a little bit worse. It's just a bit of variation from person to person in how you respond to a new stimulus. So we can't really tell yet which one you are, so we need to wait and see about how your response is. Some people will drop in week 2 and then begin to rebound. That turns out to be how I respond personally. Other people will just get better straight away. Other people will appear to be stagnant for a few weeks and then jump up. So it's going to vary a bit from person to person. There's not really a great way to predict which one you are, so we just kind of have to try it out and see. So you have your week 1 estimated 1 rep maxes, and now you have your week 2, and let's, just for argument's sake, let's say they're about the same. The assistance lifts don't get compared to competition lifts. All exercises get compared to themselves. So if you did, let's just say for example, deadlifts with chains, you're only going to compare that estimated max to other deadlift with chain movements. Actually, only to other deadlifts with the same amount of chains. So we're only comparing like exercises. We're trying to control as many of these variables as we reasonably can. So the most important estimated maxes are your competition maxes. So we're going to look at those and try to track those. Now, if you're looking at your training log on the RTS website, look at the dashboard, and then in the submenu you'll see competition progress, and that will chart this stuff for you, and you can kind of see this yourself. You can see how those estimated maxes are progressing. We want to see clearly an upward trend. There's going to be variation, and from your email you know that, understand it, and are comfortable with that. Just be aware that in week 2 there may be a drop in performance, and that's normal. You know, some people do that, some people don't. It's not a problem that needs to be fixed. It's just some people's response to a new stimulus. The important thing is, over the course of a training block, do you improve? Now, what do we do in the future? I would like to see you continue on in this training group for at least another 2 weeks and see if we can establish any trends. If there's an upward trend, or even mostly stable trend, we'll keep things going for a bit longer, you know. And we can reevaluate this every 2 weeks if you want. But if there's a downward trend, you're not happy with the training group, that's totally understandable at that point. And at that point, we can move you to a different training group with a different training style. That should, you know, we'll give that another few weeks to get going, and that should get things moving in the right direction. If it doesn't, we'll try a different training group. We've got to find the style and method that gels with your physiology, with your individual reaction. Now, don't panic. I've never had somebody that took till like the 3rd training group to figure out their stress response. And if it is taking that long for us to figure it out, then we probably need to do a more thorough assessment for you as an individual. So if we're having that many problems, we'll deal with it then. But in the meantime, let's give it a couple more weeks and see how those estimated 1 rep max trends start to go. Now, your goal in training is not to set a new PR based on your previous maxes, based on what you did, you know, when you were peaked a few weeks ago. Your goal is to improve over what you just did last week. So that's the essence of take what's there, build momentum. You know, you have week 1, and then let's say week 2 is roughly the same. Well, in week 3, we're going to try to build on that a little bit. You know, so if you have week 1 and week 2 is worse, we're not going to go for a PR in week 3. We're going to try to build on week 2, you know, and then we're going to try to build on that, and then we'll try to build on that, you know. And the same way, if you're responding well to the training and you improve immediately, well, let's try to keep things going. You build on it every week, not necessarily going back to your previous personal best and try to set a new PR. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that clears a lot of stuff up for you. I know this video went particularly long, so good luck. Let me know if you have any further questions.